We have had some very interesting results tonight. 2 OTs and what we thought was going to be a close match, but ended up being a blowout. So I don't really know where to lead with that one, but we are going to be coming into the final match. Raven, your thoughts on the entire night so far? It has been jam-packed.
Yeah, look, it's been a really exciting night so far. 2 6-8 matches, and then of course, even though the Knights did get the solid win against Q Confirm, it was still a very entertaining match to watch. So it's been really exciting, and look, I think this last one's going to be also quite an exciting affair.
That's a very good way of putting it. An exciting affair. It's Xavier taking on Wildcard. Now, Wildcard, I mean, I hate to do it, but we have to talk about it. They are wounded. They aren't looking at their best. So it is somewhat of a wounded roster. However, Xavier are looking ever so strong here, Dev, after their victory against Giants just last week.
That's absolutely it. It's these guys in top form at the moment for Xavier. They've had a great opening to the APAC South League, taking down the #1 team. Well, everyone, I think, was rating Giants to be that #1 team in APAC South. I think they themselves rated it as that. But Xavier has always been their kryptonite. They took them down a convincing 7-3. And, I mean, that's just a fantastic way to be, because you look a little bit further back into history, Xavier failed to qualify for 6 Invitational, losing to Cyclops, just losing to that spot in the grand final. And that was a real significant blow to them, because they were always neck and neck with Cyclops. Now they've come into APAC South, and honestly, these guys are looking like the best team in the league.
They certainly are, and I think, you know, Napew's result from last week kind of shines in terms of what they're able to achieve. They're coming up again against Wildcard, a team that we are, I would say with reservations. We're holding strong reservations for. We know that they're still absolute beasts. Raven, do we think that Silex is so much of a drastic change that we need to potentially look at a complete re-roster shuffle by the end of stage 1?
It's so hard to say what's going on with Wildcard at the moment. Honestly, I think losing Diesel is more than just losing, you know, a good player overall. He was also a great teammate with a lot of good leadership. That's not to say Silex isn't, but I just think overall it's really affected the mental side of Wildcard. Just saw last week with Q Confirm, they started strong. In fact, they got the first 2 rounds, and they just lost 7 in a row to lose that game, and it just felt like they were so deflated. Now, we did start to see them bounce back a bit in Oceanic Nationals this week, but it still feels like it is this very slow climb upwards for them in stage 1.
And Dev, they obviously still have such an incredible roster, such incredible gamers. You know, do you think that they're going to be able to go up against Xavier, which seems to be a Xavier in fine form?
That's the thing with Wildcard, right? Like, it's the thing that stumps us when we're chatting on the analyst desk or off air. How is it that Wildcard is getting destroyed by these teams when they have some of the most individually talented players in OS and even in APAC? Like, you've got players like Geo, Pat, Emo, Rin, Vinny. Like, these guys are insane. And just losing one piece of the puzzle in Diesel, that shouldn't suddenly make, you know, Emo stop losing all his ones or Geo stop performing. So I totally agree with Raven. Like, it is the bigger picture. It is about the effect that mentally and emotionally that Diesel's departure has put on the whole team. And unfortunately, we just have not seen them muster up courage. The only positive result is an overtime win over Rhythm in OCN, which honestly, they should be dumpstering Rhythm with the wildcard that we know and love. So it's definitely an upwards hill to climb.
Certainly an upward battle. That's a good way of putting it, Dev. Let's have a look at where we're going to be heading. The map veto as it rolls out. We are going to be heading to Clubhouse, a well-known map for pretty much any team that plays. It doesn't really matter where you are, but it does feel like it leans heavily into how Wildcard have always played, methodical and quite slow actually in most of their approaches. Are they going to be able to compete against Xavier here on Clubhouse, Dev?
No, sorry. Xavier is so good at Clubhouse, and it's funny you mentioned Wildcard's methodical playstyle. Xavier are the polar opposite. They are pure chaos, and they take that playstyle to Clubhouse and they make it work. It is crazy the number of like loose, unsupported roams you'll see from them. They just lean into their 1v1s. They try and take as many 1v1s as possible, and because they've got just cracked players, they make it work. Wildcard is going to have to be really, really vigilant and work together flawlessly to punish that. Otherwise, they're just going to get dumpstered like so many other teams have been victims of Xavier in the past on this map.
Raven?
Speaking to the victims that Dev speaks of, I'm looking back at some of these results. Xavier beat Giants 8-6 on Clubhouse in the November Major. They also got a 7-0 against Fav in APAC North on this map. Just some of the opponents they've beat, it's not just that they have performed so well, they have defeated some very strong opponents that have been in good form at the same time on this map. Looking at the stats we have collected here, 9-1 in recent history in terms of their win-loss record on the map. It's a bit of a task ahead of Wildcard.
Yeah. And the flip side of that, I'll just jump in. The flip side of that is Wildcard have lost this so much recently. Like the last 2 times they played it, Order and Elevate, they lost it, and the time before that, they only just beat Knights. So this is not good form for Wildcard.
It is not bowing favorably at all. We're kind of painting a bit of a dark picture here, aren't we? This became very somber very quickly as we found out the veto. So I'm going to ask Raven, what's the win condition here for Wildcard? Because clearly the win condition for Xavier was the map pick. What is it for Wildcard?
I think they just have to figure out a way, again, total mentals thing, just figure out a way to just put last year and whatever's happened coming into the season totally behind them. Maybe just play a different play style. You can play a bit more loose, have some fun with it. I feel like what I've noticed is they've still tried to play with their usual rigidity, and then things fall apart, and then they're kind of just like, oh, well, it's fallen apart now. Yeah. I think they just need to just throw everything out and just be like, we need to play loose. Because Xavier's sure are going to play loose. You're going to try and match that.
Loosey-goosey. Dev?
Yeah, I agree with you. My first instinct was, Wildcard need to methodically isolate these Xavier roamers and pick them apart. Try and hard counter Xavier, but honestly, Raven, you have me convinced. I reckon Wildcard just get loose. Stop getting in your own heads. Because as soon as Xavier finds one player roaming on a Giri just finds a 3k, Wildcard will fall apart. So just Wildcard, take it easy, take it sleazy, just play loose. Let's see how it goes.
Loosey-goosey, I love it. Well, is it going to be Order versus Chaos? Or is it going to be Chaos versus Chaos? We'll wait and see. We're going to head over to the casters, Guz and Xerox.
Yeah. I don't know what you're on about, Manic. It's actually Wildcard versus Xavier, so you got mixed up a little bit. But hey, welcome back, guys. We are, of course, ready to get into the last matchup of the day for Playday 2 of APAC South. But I have to say, guys, I'm going to be blunt. We had an 8-6, 2-7 for our first 2 matches. We just had an 8-6. I'm kind of sensing a 2-7 here in favor of Xavier.
Yeah. I mean, we have to back Xavier going into this one. Wildcard, they are down in the dumps. This is going to be such a rough game for them here against that Thai dominance.
Well, Clubhouse, it's not Oregon. I feel like that's the motto for tonight's matches. Something a little bit different, something a little bit spicy. Well, are we maybe going to see a bit of the old Wildcard tonight? Or is Xavier just too good, too strong? They're not even going to allow a peep in. Players like Geo, Pat, Vinny, they're going to show us what they're made of. There was an interview we had the other day, Cien Guz, and from Vinny, and the idea is that it's just sort of one game at a time for them.
I mean, I think that's the ethos that they have to adapt here. They know they're in a little bit of trouble, and just taking one game at a time and not getting too stressed looking far into the future is probably the way to go about that. But hey, when you look at, you're one game ahead and you see Xavier in your path, that is a big obstruction that they need to try and get themselves over. So by no means is this going to be an easy task. And I think the analyst desk set it up really, really nicely. Xavier, they are going to play absolutely out of their minds with aggression and just crazy things that no one would ever expect. And Wildcard, they need to try and match that. And when they're down in the dumps like they may be at the moment, that's going to be an incredible challenge. But it's not impossible. Maybe Wildcard can somehow salvage a couple of rounds and at least give themselves an inkling into this game, just some small chance to maybe do something, maybe edge an overtime. But again, it's an uphill battle. It is going to be incredibly tough.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of done trying to give Wildcard chances here without Diesel. I've done it twice, and both times they've disappointed me. And convincingly too, 2-7 against Q Confirm. In OCN, they lost 3-7 to Order. Here's a not so fun fact though, Guz. Wildcard have now lost 6 of their last 7 games.
Wow.
Like, yeah, in all forms of pro competition that Wildcard have played in over the last couple of months, 3 months or so. So, and that's 4 immediate losses in a row. This is sort of where Wildcard are in. You said they're in a hole, they're in a pretty deep hole. And Xavier, right? These guys are going to be very difficult to take down. They beat Giants last week 7-3 in a match on Chalet, which was just so one-sided that probably 7-3 didn't even do the game justice. This is a team that, from their own internal expectations, would be going for that number 1 spot. And Wildcard is just a team they're going to brush aside. The question will be, how much can Wildcard really make this a match? I feel like it's up to Wildcard to come to the table here, because Xavier definitely will.
Yeah, and I think that 4 out of 5 map losses is a very powerful stat, but what makes that even more powerful is when you reflect on their 2020 season, right? Sure, they went out in groups at 6 Invitational, but they came back, and in the online environment, after some of those roster changes, they were absolutely nuts. They went on immense winning streaks, losing an odd map here or there. They were smashing teams in finals, in majors. They were getting the job done and just wiping the floor everywhere. So to now be a team really struggling at the bottom is saddening to see. It's really, really tricky to watch, honestly. As someone from the region, it's really difficult to see these guys fall from grace. But they need to just, like you said, one game at a time. Maybe they're not going to win here against Xavier, right? But just try and take some lessons out of this, test your mental fortitude, and take something out of this match. That's the most important thing.
And those weren't even my words either. One game at a time, straight from the horse's mouth. Vinny himself, claimed that. Because obviously, as commentators, we don't actually know what their thoughts are here. So to get that from him, at least, makes it a lot easier for us to sort of attest to where Wildcard are at here. 2 minutes into the round, first round of this game. It's going to be a marathon, not a sprint though. Wildcard on the defense, Church Arsenal down below. Xavier seemingly have just no contest here on this first floor.
That will allow Angry X on the Maverick to open those hatches quite freely as Wildcard. They just sit in sight. They have shields to work with and cover as well to try and hide behind. It seems like they want to force Xavier into their explosive selves, which could come back to bite them, but also it's probably the play. It's very rare that we see roams now on Clubhouse. Not impossible, but definitely less frequent as attacking teams have worked out how to clear those setups. So Wildcard backing themselves here in this round as Xavier continue to butcher up that floor and get those hatches open.
Yeah, no surprise. Wildcard will be more than happy for like a 20-second execute from Xavier, just dropping down kitchen hatch. That would be ideal for them. Okay, Onigiri, just down in oil pit. Emerin in blue at the moment. 40 seconds left in the round, but as you can see over in Freezer, this is where Xavier are setting up. Drones are out. They'll drone out these final positions, guys, and then it's drop down time and really just sort of see how they go against Wildcard.
I really like this late round droning from Xavier. They're going to set up for a drop down the hatch. Xenox, all yours, mate.
I can't see anything thanks to that flashbang. Hopefully for Xavier, Wildcard wouldn't be able to see much either. That is going to be a C4 kill though to kickstart this round. It's Giri actually picking up a double there, and Angry now with a quick double too, and just like that, the round's over. Well, that was quick. Let's do it again.
Vinny needs to at least attempt the clutch here, as impossible as it may seem. Holding short with Kaid. His own setup from his team being used against him as he tries to retake side. That's a nice shot there onto Onigiri. It won't count for much really, but it's a nice stat to have, and it's a good player shut down. Might be able to swing and find a second. Gets lit up though, and the player down long will clean him up. Xavier with an explosive execute will take the first round.
Well, I believe it was Onigiri who ended up picking up the first 2 kills in that round, right? From Oil Pit, pushing into Blue, along with the drop down from Kitchen, ended up just sort of pinching Wildcard. And what did they lose? Like 4 players in the span of about 5 seconds, maybe 10, right? From the first 2 to the last 2. And Wildcard just had no real answer for that. And I think the fact that it was mentioned as well, the patience from Xavier, their drone game as well, at about the 35-second mark, they just looked clean. That was one of the cleanest executes of, basement on Clubhouse from a kitchen hatch that I've seen for a while.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
We head back upstairs now over to CC and Cash. The operators on the board that we do see, we're probably expecting Xavier to attack that main wall with the Maverick. We've also got Sapper on the Thermite, might be able to open up Garage, even Con if required. And we up the Wildcard to hold key positions, like those cash boxes and the rafters inside of Garage to stop any push from coming through. But again, it's probably going to be very similar across most of these objectives, the way that Xavier will approach it. They'll do their setup. They won't have much time to work with, and then they'll just hit that gear, go bang, enter site, find picks, win the round. So Wildcard need to be aware of that. I'm sure they already are. Like, they know what to expect here.
So what you're saying is open up Kennel's wall, pressure rafters, see how you go. That's how you're doing.
Yeah, and then just send it in, try and go for a plan. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if Xavier, it's actually quite frequent we see in APAC teams just don't even go for the default plan. They'll just send it in and find the picks to win the round because that's just the faster way of doing it, the cleaner way of doing it in some cases.
The expectations for this matchup is firmly that Xavier are going to win this comfortably. Wildcard on the defense here on Clubhouse first need to get off to a good start. It's pretty paramount. If you go down 2-0, 3-0 early on, especially on the defense side here, Clubhouse, it is going to spell disaster for Wildcard before really the series even kind of begins. Sapper going to do his job on Kennel's wall. No real pressure here. Most of Wildcard over at top red. Vinny, though, is actually going to find a hole from rafters and does get the opening frag onto Angry on the 2-minute mark as well. So a lot of time here, though, still for Xavier to turn it back. They also just opened up Kennel's wall. By no means is this round over, but it does give a semblance of hope for Wildcard, and I couldn't even finish my sentence, and Gio is dead. Now Immerin as well. Napier just pushed straight in, found the double, and then goes back downstairs.
Bomb located by attackers.
Big work from Napier. In fact, he had a 1.94 rating against the Giants last week. He went 15-3, so if he can't be tamed by Wildcard, he's going to be another huge headache to try and deal with. One man on Ash can do a lot of damage in the right hands. And in the 4-on-3, Xavier have positioned themselves nicely for another round win. Napier, meanwhile, will actually open up the Moto hatch, or the Logi hatch, rather. Link up with Sapper, as well as DCH. And they might shape up for a con push.
Yeah, they've got Kennel's wall open. You can kind of then just leave Vinny over at rafters. Kind of ignore Garage. They've got no pressure on Garage at all, right? So Vinny's just going to be safe over at rafters. They'll push in through Con along with Kennel's wall. Wildcard going to be expecting this. Cash CCTV, we haven't really seen a lot of pushes from Con side in OCN, so they may not be ready for this as Xavier are pushing in with 34 seconds to go. Vinny's key here. If he can get Onigiri, there's a chance.
It's a chance, but it's a slim chance that DCH getting the work from below could find a pick or at least place a lot of pressure on these defenders as Onigiri tries to find Vinny. One shot will do enough damage as Pat gets aggressive at the breach, but Napier gets the triple as Sapper cleans up that kill. He goes deep, but he gets caught in the flames. They may have thrown this round. Vinny just needs to stay alive. It's a triple in this round. DCH now needs to stick the diffuser for 3 more seconds. Where's Vinny? He runs forward through the rotation, but the plant gets stuck, Xenox. I don't think he has what it takes to win the round here for Wildcard.
Yes, no, how somehow DCH just missing Vinny's head there. It's been a massive round from Vinny, but I don't think it's going to happen. No, it will not. A chance gone begging early on in this series already for Wildcard, but a chance they didn't necessarily have earlier on. DCH clutch, Xavier 2-0, and a good attacking start here on Clubhouse.
Wow, talk about small windows of opportunity to win that round for Wildcard. Sapper just absolutely sent it into sight through that bolt, the asphyxiating bolt, the flames. Almost, you could say, throwing the round for his team, but it was a good recovery in the end. Discipline from DCH to stick the plant, commit to it, and use every angle possible to shut down Vinny, who was already lit up from that previous encounter with Onigiri. So well played again by the Thai team. And I feel like the more rounds that compound, it's just getting further and further out of the grasp of Wildcard.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Most matches, you probably wouldn't be saying that, but due to the circumstances for Wildcard, you definitely feel they need to get off to a good start here, which evidently they haven't been able to thus far. It is only 2 rounds, 4 more to go in the half, and they've got to get at minimum 2. Right? Ideally from here, you try and at least force the half 3-3, call it a day. But not the best start. Xavier, to their credit though, are showing their dominance and what we sort of expect from them, especially after they swept aside Giants last week. If they can do that against Giants, I think a wounded Wildcard should be an even easier task, despite the map being Clubhouse, which is quite structured, and especially on the defense, even a wounded Wildcard you would expect to get a few rounds.
Well, Wildcard have gone back downstairs. We saw Xavier execute an aggressive hatch drop in round number 1 to convert the round. I believe it was left in a 3-on-1, or maybe even a 4-on-1 in the end, with Vinny to try and clutch up. So not very successful at all for Wildcard, but now's their opportunity to try and correct some of those mistakes. Doesn't look like they're committing to a roam, so they're really, again, just trying to play for that execute. They'll need the Plantanar from the likes of Silex, maybe Vinny with a C4, and Pat as well. They do have quite a bit to work with. They just, I think, really need to get that timing and communication down pat, because when things get crazy from Xavier, it can be a lot to track. When you have 5 players running around, and you're trying to find every single one of them, trade effectively, and you're not in your finest form, that can be really challenging.
The trick for Wildcard here as well is they need to be aggressive. They need to look to find some early kills. Maybe not so much basement. I think they're more than happy to just sit back and kind of let Xavier do their thing upstairs and just kind of hope that they can win the frag game towards the end of the round. Pat looking ominously here with the Nitro Cell. He's going to misfire this one though. Patch is going to remain open. He wasn't able to stop it, and by the round, it's just again slipping away from Wildcard, not really offering much in way of competition to Xavier. Again, allowing them this free control over in kitchen very early on. No defense of the first floor, no sort of roam, nothing. And that's fine as long as you can win towards the end. But as we saw last time out on basement, guys, it was a clean sweep. The round was over before it even began once Xavier had their way with jumping down.
Once again, we see the likes of DCH droning in towards the site. Xavier still with, I believe, 6 to work with. A lot of intel can be gained. Silex, the coach and now substitute for Wildcard, getting very aggressive over towards Dirt Tunnel as Emorin finds the first pick in the round. It comes with 45 seconds left on the board, and that's one of the key fraggers of Xavier left to sit out as they try and push through Moto into Church, and that's a great pick from Vinny, again on so low HP, but will get away with his life.
30 seconds left into the round now as we really need to see something here from Xavier. Down 2 players. No Onigiri to open up this time around like he was able to do in the last round. Snapper caught by Pat. Diffuser's down. DCH with a nice angle, but it's all too late. It's falling apart for Xavier. They ran out of time. Gio with a double, which might be good as well for his own personal beliefs here. Big round for Wildcard. They get 1 on the board.
All right. That wasn't too bad there for Wildcard. I mean, they held on like I said, they needed to. They prevented anyone from really dropping the hatch and having an impact, and those that did were shut down quite effectively. Really big from Vinny. I think he's been stepping up massively already in this map. I know we're only 3 rounds in, but it's felt like every single round he's at least had an impact, right? First round, he was left to try and clutch. Second round, he had a lot of presence over towards Rafters and narrowly missed the one-on-one at the end. And then in that third round, he was a pivotal player over towards that Moto position and preventing that pinch from really coming into fruition there for Xavier. So props to Vinny, and hopefully he can continue that form and try and lift his teammates around him.
Long way to go though. It's only 1 round. How much do you really put stock into that 1 round, I guess? That's the problem. But if Wildcard are 1 game at a time, I guess they're also 1 round at a time too, right? It's the same sort of philosophy. You can't look too far ahead, especially against a team like Xavier. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I head over to Cash CCTV where, well, it was quite hectic last time out. Vinny found that opening frag. We thought maybe there's a chance Wildcard would be able to secure a nice, strong defensive foothold. Xavier turned it around and it was just chaotic really towards the end. Vinny ended up getting, what, 3 or 4 kills in the round. They pushed into storage and found 2. I mean, it was a round that had it all. And we will see now if Cash and CCTV can do it again.
I love that 6 pick from Onigiri. It's not the first time he's whipped out the Finker when he feels like the team needs it. In fact, he did it against the Giants last week, and that's when they ramped up. And I don't think they lost a round from when he decided to start playing the Finker. So, look, a lot of people, again, from other regions are looking at that, scratching their head and thinking, that is the worst pick ever. You're just going to stuff up your teammates' recoil. But look, for whatever reason, Xavier love it. It works for them. Let them be. They'll be just sending it in now, trying to find these picks, and it does, of course, facilitate that with the HP boost, the recoil boost, etc. So Wildcard will need to try and shut Onigiri down if they don't want him to have that presence on the round.
Yeah. Obviously, for Vinny as well, is going to be looking and seeing, can he find another pick through one of these map holes? Again, not much pressure on Garage from Xavier. At least for the time being. A lot of time still, of course, left in this round. Silex top red, Pat and Cash. Wildcard may also look to put a bit more pressure and defense over towards Con. Expecting Xavier to play a similar fashion to the last time out in round number 2. Vinny's going to be doing that for the next minute.
Angry X might be doing this wall for the next minute. It looks like he might have cheesed it up a little bit. No, he does get it, but Vinny! Oh, that's sharp. The second that reinforcement gets dislodged, he hits the shot. Again, Vinny is activated right now, going 7 and 2. Geo gets in on the action and finds Napier. Again, that top fragger from last week for Xavier. And Wildcard, they are really putting their foot down here in the 4th round.
Another opening frag for Vinny, and as you said, going big. It's all about the team. You can find these frags, you can get these opening kills, but if you can't win the round, it's kind of all for naught. Onigiri just a bit quiet since that first round in Church Arsenal, and as spoken, finds a nice headshot onto Vinny. The adrenal surge activated. Is it time for Xavier to start making their position towards CCTV and Cash in a hurried manner? Onigiri with a second. Never mind, I will no longer doubt you. Sapper finds a 3rd for the round, and just like that, guys, in the space of 20-30 seconds, Xavier have the advantage.
I'm not quite sure how they've done it, but Xavier are back in this round. It's Silex and Geo left to try and clutch up. Onigiri boosts himself, but just swings the main breach.
My God.
Geo drops as well in the meantime. I don't know what that was from Xavier. I don't know what that was from Onigiri, but they get the round that probably should not have been theirs.
I mean, I don't know if you can say that. There was still a lot of time on the clock. The deficit wasn't really that bad.
I mean, it was a 5-on-3, man.
If you're 5-on-3.
If you're wild
5-on-3, but then you find that next kill, it's a 3-4, and especially when you're Xavier, like, you got to back yourselves in. Onigiri finding that extra gear, able to get a couple of clutch picks, especially after going kind of quiet in the last 2 rounds prior to that one. And just sort of says, Xavier, like, hey, we're still here, don't worry. Okay, they got 1 round, we're not going to give them 2. It's 3-1. But Guz, you know, I'll be nice to you, I guess, right? 5-3. Wildcard probably should have done a bit better there.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the second pick, but it did feel like Wildcard were just over-peaking that. I don't know why you would continue to try and pick Onigiri, who's one of the top fraggers and can Finker boost himself, so a little bit peculiar. Maybe they felt the need to try and reposition because they had that entry in towards the site. Unfortunately, we won't quite know, or at least I didn't catch it live. So we'll just have to ponder on that, but either way, it goes down as a loss for Wildcard, a win for Xavier. I mean, we can't deny that. Look at the top of the scoreboard, 3-1 the lead, and Wildcard now feel compelled to change up their site, electing to go over towards Jim, its first appearance in this matchup. And I'm loving the Frost. I've been loving playing Frost in this objective personally. I know we've seen it in EU, for example, a couple of months back, and Emo bringing it to the forefront of APAC.
And you can love it, but is it going to be effective? We'll have to wait and see. I don't mind it though for Wildcard to try and just change things up a bit. All right, you're down 3-1. Defensively, haven't looked that great. It's gym bedroom, so what, 2 traps on the gym window. Is it going to be the play there? Just 1 each? Okay. I mean, nothing too special there, guys. I mean, but we'll see how it plays out. A little bit stock standard with the Frost, but hey, as you said, it's nice to see something a bit different.
Angry X will look to open up
Attackers have located a bomb.
the CC wall. Pretty typical these days in the attacking meta, try and take control of CC and catch and prevent any rotations from the defenders, I guess, then transition that into the Moto control and the Logi control and pinch from Jacuzzi if you want to make some angles there or open that wall up. So nothing standing out from my point of view as being too crazy here from Xavier, but Onigiri has yet to use his adrenal surge, so I'll hold my breath.
What's
until
Vinny
that
up to?
happens. Oh, Sapper. That's a lot of damage. Was that a run out from Emo?
Yeah, Imorin, yeah, on balcony. I think he must have ran out. Well, Onigiri has found that gear and ran with it, catching Pat. A lot of time in this round. Sapper's still low from that run out earlier. Jacuzzi wall going to get opened up. DCH with another frag. There's one back from Geo.
I think this is winnable.
Yeah, it is.
Both Sapper and Geo are low though, so you could say in theory it is a little bit of a 2v2 if those players with low HP are shut down. Vinny, he's on a rampage already. He is on a rampage already. 4 rounds in, or 4.5 rounds in. He's going absolutely huge, and he can do even more damage from below here. Needs to be careful though. Angry X is lurking just in front.
Mentioned it before. I think it was just hanging out in storage, but this is big all over the place. Angry though catches Vinny. Angry though is in a 1 versus 2, so it gets a bit more difficult from here. You catch the roamer, but now you're going to go towards the site. You've also got to somehow pick up the diffuser as well safely, but of course, Imorin's not going to allow that, not that easily. Watching those sight lines. And Wildcard do bite back here. They've got 2 rounds to the 3 of Xavier.
Nice angle there from Imorin. Not sure that his Frost mats necessarily had much of an impact in that round, but I guess the added benefit of playing Frost these days is you have the secondary ITA shotgun, you also have a deployable shield, so there's a lot you can do, and I mean the 9mm as well is an absolute beast of a weapon when you chuck an angled on it, so maybe we'll see that come out from Xavier if they elect to defend Jim later on in this matchup or potentially in OT. Of course, keeping in mind that that site's now locked out for Wildcard for their final defense, and it looks like they're going to go back downstairs. So again, a site they have a 50% win rate on. They lost it on their first attempt and won it on the second. So if that form continues, we could well see a 3-3 scoreline. And I think for many, or at least some on the desk, maybe yourself included, thought Wildcard were probably stretching to get 2 or 3 rounds in the entire map.
I mean, I definitely agree with you there, but we are on the defense side. I don't think it's too out of the question here that Xavier clutch this up, make it 4-2, then go on defense and just kind of run away with it. That is definitely a massive possibility. But for Wildcard's sake, right, they are in this position. As you mentioned, there's a chance they can now make this 3-3. They, of course, have to perform once again as they did on Church Arsenal in round 3, which really just came down to that last 30-40 seconds in the round. It was all happening towards the back end of that round. Will they put pressure, though, elsewhere on the map? Are they going to put anything towards this first floor, anything towards kitchen? Or is it once again just going to be shut up shop, go down below, and just bide our time?
I mean, and surely you've got a turtle. I mean, Wildcard didn't bring anything to indicate a roam. They won't commit to it. I just think that off the back of their success in round number 3, where they did get a defensive win on this site, they're just going to try and replicate that as best as they possibly can. That said, we are seeing some variation here from Xavier, at least in their lineup, bringing the Capitao. And I really like that from Napier, running the secondary hard breach gadget. It's not every day we see that run, particularly in competitive. So something a little bit different there to enjoy. And that, of course, means that they won't be as heavily reliant on a Hibana. I mean, they're not even bringing on the board. So That's probably wild to a lot of people because some would say that if Habana is not banned, you have to bring her every round. But Xavier, they don't listen to the conventional rules of this game, and they just do whatever the hell they want.
Certainly so.
Attackers have located
We've had 2
bombs.
overtime games tonight. 1-7-2. And it kind of feels like where this match is right now is going to go in either direction. Xavier either win this round, close out on the defense, or we are going the distance. I guess you could say, guys, it could go either way. That's one way to phrase it.
I just want to pitch in here. I am really perplexed as to why Xavier not bringing Hibana. You can see it's causing them some issues at the moment, and Geo from below could impact Trick the second charge, but he doesn't actually commit to it. Instead commits to the peak at the bottom of the stairs as Pat finds his mark on the Angry X. So at least they've gotten the Maverick off the board, but again, that hatch has been opened, and that is where Xavier have been looking to push every single time.
Yeah, you probably don't really need that Maverick anymore. It's not that imperative with a minute to go. As you said, kitchen hatch is open, so especially from here on out, 4 versus 4. I don't think Xavier is sweating that one. I don't think losing Pat either is really that big of a deal, so both teams kind of even here towards the latter stages of this 6th round, final round of this first half. The final game tonight. Now, everyone just chilling in blue. It just feels like the eye of the storm. Everyone's just waiting out to these final moments. DCH is going to make the push in through dirt, or at least peek it. Got stuck for a second. That's going to actually waste a bit of time. 2 kills though on the ball for Xavier. Sapper's down. He's actually going to get this plant successfully. Doesn't get interrupted. And this is going to be really difficult now for Wildcard to secure the round from this position. Silex in dirt. Only 1 kill for this entire first half. Will he be able to get anything from this position? Probably not, Guz.
Vinny's still on the board though. We know he's been hitting his shots so far tonight, but it's a tall order with 25 seconds left to try and retake above, which they'll need to, and hit the diffuser.
Sapper.
They can't do either though. Sapper's just too good, and Xavier will close out the half with another win on the attack.
Well, I mean, I guess it sort of sets our storyline now for the second half, guys. 4-2 Xavier attack on Clubhouse. Statistically speaking, we have only actually had, believe it or not, 1 Clubhouse earlier in the APAC South, which was our very first opening match of the season, 7th Heaven versus Order, and it was 7-3 in favor of 7th Heaven. And in that matchup, defense won 7 out of the 10 rounds. So I don't know if there's probably too much that we can take away from that just one match. We'll have a bit more statistics now, of course, off the back of this second one that has played out tonight. But it is looking like it's going to be a difficult time for Wildcard. And I don't want to harp on their issues too much, really, moving forward. Because they themselves have said it's about 1 game forward. It's a new Wildcard. They have to do what they've got to do. It is what it is. They're in this situation. You've got to fight it out. You've got to stick it out. There was a chance there that they could have really tied up the half, and we would be saying completely different things here. But Xavier looked the goods. They looked the goods not only in this match, but they looked the goods for the season. As they're up 4-2, and they're just getting the job done, and that's what the best teams do.
So we're seeing a bit of a different lineup here from Xavier, electing to bring the Mutant Mozzie combo. Now that would suggest to me that they might commit to some sort of roam. Some would call it a soft roam, where you sort of half commit and are willing to fall off pretty quickly. Also an interesting bulletproof inside of Kitchen there from Snapper. So we might see Xavier play a little bit more aggressive than Wildcard. We saw them on every occasion basically just sit tight, hope for the best, and wait for the hatch drop. But Xavier, they're playing the way that they want to. Nice and aggressive, nice and proactive, and just try to prevent Wildcard from really gaining any confidence on what is, of course, their first attacking round here on Club.
Pretty similar positions, at least for Xavier defensively. Will they show a bit more aggression, though? And I think the answer is yes with Napier and the Legion.
Oh, it's for a C4. This could be very, very cheeky. He's going to ping out that C4 on a gear. He'll say to it, he'll say to a teammate, call boom, or something to that effect when a player's on that position. So keep an eye on that. I don't know whether Wildcard will be aware, but they will be aware of that, of course. Aim over and dropped, Napier on the top 4 to find a kill. It's a big one at that, and Angry finds another onto Vinny. The star for Wildcard on this map thus far. And honestly, at this stage, this round's basically over for Wildcard. Yeah, Xavier need to throw this for them to have a chance. They've taken down 2 of their top fraggers.
But this is the difference firsthand between the 2 teams, right? Like, we didn't see any sort of aggressive roaming playstyle from Wildcard on their defense for Church Arsenal. Heck, really on any of the sides, if I'm going to be honest. And immediately Xavier get his first go. It's Wildcard really just going to have to send it down, blue, but whatever. The round's over. As soon as Xavier get his first chance, they've already got 2 players looking to find kills. It's a flawless round because they made it a flawless round themselves. They did the work early on. They punished Wildcard, and they didn't allow Wildcard to just have that first floor, that kitchen site all to themselves for like a good 2 minutes.
That's got to be frustrating if you're a Wildcard player or Wildcard fan. Not the way you would have liked to start your attacking campaign, but there's nothing you can do about it now. Eyes turn towards CCTV and Cash, a site which might see some roam below, but without a bandit on the board, that's unlikely. I guess maybe with Kaid if they want to try and deny impacts, but we are seeing 2 interesting operator picks. Warden and the 6th pick onto Mirror. Now Mirror's an operator that often doesn't get a whole lot of play on Clubhouse these days. A couple of common positions include maybe watching Blue Generator downstairs or Church Triple, maybe back in the olden days when that was pretty popular. Now, more modern Siege, you might see it in Bathroom, for example, to try and hold Jacuzzi once that gets breached. But in terms of a Cash CC, it's not overly common, right? You don't see it every day of the week. Maybe... I was going to say maybe Napier was planning to put it on the exterior wall, but surely that won't happen. It would have to be, I would hope, maybe top of the stairs and maybe another one con wall. I'm honestly not too sure. It's Xavier. It could be anything, really.
Oh, no.
Yeah, main wall. Yeah.
Oh, okay, no. Well, I was about to say, really, we don't usually see a Wildcard, say, pushing in from con. A lot of the time, you would expect, say, garage pressure onto rafters, obviously Cannel's wall. This is sort of in your face, top red as well, which just sort of fortifies that position. This is very in your face defense from Xavier. This is something also Wildcard wouldn't really be going up against too regularly in the national region.
It'd be a headache for Silex to deal with as well. He's playing on that Maverick, and it's likely he'll be tasked with trying to open that wall, and that Black Mirror does throw a little bit of a curveball and can make it really annoying. That CD move in from below does clear any potential utility, maybe destroyed that Electro Claw as well, and they should be able to get line of sight onto that mirror window, I think, to be able to shoot it if they so please. Keeping in mind, of course, that Napier's holding that and could get aggressive. I like this work, though, from Pat. He's used the XRS to pop a line of sight below the mirror and taking it out. Napier, I don't know why he was playing Statue. That was really not the play there in that scenario. Wildcard doing a really good job to shut him down.
Yeah, that was intriguing. Almost sort of like baiting, like, right, you're going to blow it open, but I'm going to be the one who gets the shot in the end. Pat wins out that sort of trade, but I don't think Napier was really ever in that right position compared to, say, Pat. Pat always gets a free shot at that. Can Wildcard capitalize, though? They haven't really been able to do so in this matchup. Xavier have always been the ones, usually with a leg up. Opening frags haven't also really meant that much in this matchup.
Attackers have located a bomb.
4 opening frags have not turned into a round win, whereas only 3 have. So that's not a really good rate either. It's not very indicative of where this round in particular is going to play. Pat, though, with a second. Now that will make things more interesting and more viable for Wildcard pushing forward. Sapper still has that mirror window to his right-hand side, so they can play top red pretty safe. And they're fully expecting Garage and Kennel Walls to be the play here from Wildcard.
It's not every day of the week you see a Warden flashed. Never mind, killed whilst flashed. But it's good from Wildcard. Good timing so far. With 40 seconds left, they can set up for a default plan. Keeping in mind, though, that Xavier, they still have a C4, I think, to work with inside of DCH. 3 C4s, potentially, in fact. It's going to be very, very aggressive late round here as they try to stop Wildcard from getting in position to plant and then denying it when they do, but they're just going for picks. Pat finds his triple in the round. Sappers left swing and not traded back though. Oh, Xavier, they're just going to go deep, but it's a quad from Pat. Geo to get the final one to round things out. And Wildcard, pretty much out of nowhere, managed to take that round in what was a pretty good amount of time.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if the mirror worked, guys.
Yeah, look, I don't think its impact was massive on that round. In fact, it probably hurt Xavier more than it helped them. Yeah. But props for trying something a little bit obscure. I'm all for that.
Props though for Wildcard for also dealing with it in the end quite easily. A lot easier than we were sort of hyping it up to be. So Xavier tried something, didn't work. Fortunately, when you're up 5-2, guys, you can kind of try those things and, well, it doesn't really bite you back unless Wildcards get on a roll here. Not going to hype them up too much. It's still 5-3. It's still a while to go. Xavier firmly, in my opinion, are by far still in control of this matchup until maybe they lose Gym Bedroom. If they lose this convincingly to Wildcard and all of a sudden it's 5-4 and Wildcard have won the last 2 rounds in a row, then we've got ourselves a game on our hand, and what maybe Wildcard evolved just making a brief appearance here in APAC South, which I think for many would love to see that, except for Xavier fans.
And again, credit to Wildcard so far in this map. We've said that it's a tough situation that they find themselves in and they needed their players to step up. And I mean, you can look at the stats. Vinny, Geo, and Pat, they've all stepped up. None of them are really lagging behind. Sure, Emerald's having a bit of a hard time, but he's not lagging too far behind either. And that's great. That's what you really want to see. There's been a couple of matches so far that we've seen already where just no one was stepping up. So that's already a stark difference, and maybe they'll be able to produce something special here. It will be something special if Wildcard manage to push this game further than most expect. Xavier putting up a really good fight as well, right? They're, you know, obviously the favored team, arguably after defeating Giants and now potentially maybe Wildcard, the strongest team in the region, at least early indications. So they can't put their foot off the pedal too quick either here. They still have a lot of work to do themselves.
And just sort of touching on Silex, right? Because you touched on basically everyone from Wildcard except Silex. Yes, he's 1-1-6.
I didn't want to put him under the bus.
No.
That's your job. I didn't want to put him. I didn't want to put him under the bus. That's your job.
He's 1-1-6, but at the end of the day, he's got the big brains. And I don't doubt that if you put him in a good position late round, he could easily find a kill. It's more than just the body. He's more than just a number, and he does still bring something to this roster. So you can't count him out. Yeah, he's going to have some tough games throughout stage 1, especially when you're going up against Xavier, and he's a bit rusty having not played competitively for so long. So as the stage goes on, I think you'll find Silex will actually have more and more of an impact each game he gets under his belt. And obviously he's always going to have those brain plays. For Xavier though, just a couple of players is going quiet again in the last couple of rounds. Feels like a roller coaster from them. Some rounds they're just flawless, they look clean, like they're going to just sweep Wildcard aside. Other rounds they kind of just let Wildcard in, and they allow Wildcard to have these sort of important rounds go their way. That's why it's 5-3, because Wildcard keep finding around here or there. What? But then Onigiri steps up, and guys like Sapper will stand up every other round. The rounds that Wildcard don't win, Xavier look very, very convincing.
Well, apparently you only need a pistol to find kills in competitive play. Who would have known it was that easy, as Napier gets one onto Pat as well. Xavier just being cheeky at this point, but they need to be careful not to give this round away. Emerin gets one back and could well hold the cross onto a player inside of Logi. It's DCH. He needs to win this swing. If he doesn't, Xavier could be in a lot of trouble, but angry, he steps up to the table, and now Emerin's left all alone in the 1-on-3.
Yeah, there's no trouble at all here for Xavier. They've just got all of the answers. All 5 members have had a moment individually at some point in this matchup. And why not just let Angry finish it off there? I think he gets a triple kill, finish that round off. They get match point. And that's the difference right now, is they've got 5 amazing players that have all had different impact moments throughout this match. No one's lagging behind. And that makes Xavier such a mammoth team, such a force to be reckoned with. 6-3. And they're going to do this to a lot of teams this season, guys. This is not a wildcard only thing. We already saw it last week where Xavier beat Giants 7-3, and they may well now beat Wildcard 7-3.
It's really a tale of two sides, isn't it? Xavier looking so strong early in stage 1 and only fortifying their position at the top of the standings, whereas Wildcard are having a very disappointing run early in the stage. Just trying to salvage whatever they can, but it unfortunately looks like they won't be able to salvage anything out of this match. It'll take 3 rounds straight to get at least 1 point. And to be honest, I'm really convinced from what I've seen so far they'll be able to pull that off. That said, they'll be attacking below. Unfortunately, my memory's not amazing, and I can't remember just how close the first attempt was, but look, if it's not staying in my mind as being memorable, it probably wasn't that amazing. So
yeah, it was completely flawless. The roam game caught Wildcard. They found 2 early kills that round, and shaping up, you know, looking at the lineup here for Xavier, they got the Mozzie, they got the Vigil. I mean, they'll be aggressive again. You would expect. First floor, look to find a kill. Look to put Wildcard at a disadvantage, which is probably the right way to sort of try and play this site. Make it really difficult for the attacking team. Force them to take a bit of time to get into position. If you can remove a member or 2. I mean, we saw it in the last time we came basement. That's why it was flawless. You had 2 kills within the first minute of the round. What's Wildcard really going to be able to accomplish down 3-5 as the attacking team when they haven't even walked into kitchen yet? You can really just spell it out that way. Match point. And Xavier themselves, what a way to close it out. Why not close it out with an exclamation mark?
As we reach the 2-minute point in the round, Wildcard consider their options, and it looks like they're going to commit to a top-down take. The likes of Geo and Jacuzzi Balk, and I believe Emarine on Rafters, will need to be mindful of the player inside of Con. I think it's Napier.
It is.
On the Vigil.
Yep.
Just sitting, waiting, trying to drain time. Maybe we'll be able to find a cheeky pick. It looks like Wildcard are wary, but tracking down a Vigil can be so difficult, especially when that ability is activated at the right moment.
And this is the difference, as Napier might just find the first kill of the game. He definitely will. Again, twice now it's happened here on this basement site defense for Xavier. You know, you talked about this top-down clear. It's something Xavier didn't have to do because the new Wildcard just weren't even really contesting. But because Xavier have been playing this roam game, especially on Church Arsenal, it forces Wildcard to make these plays. Minute 20 seconds left, and Napier's going to get a second one onto Geo. All credit where credit's due. Xavier have deserved this win. This win that is about to happen here. A third one. Why not? Napier goes pew, pew, pew with 3 kills in quick succession on this match point round for Xavier here for APAC South. And Wildcard. Why not just make it 4?
He's looking for it. He wants it. Napier tore Giants to shred last week, and he's doing the same to Wildcard. It's a quad to try and win this map for his team. I think they're going to do it. Silex is left in the 1 versus 5. Angry X meets him at the top of Secret Stairs, and there we have it. Xavier will close it out. I don't think Wildcard ever stood a chance. Xavier 7-3 in the end. A very convincing victory to lead APAC South.
They certainly do. They are looking like the team to beat right now. At least until Giants really click into gear. Knights being really the other option at the top end of the standings right now. But 7-3, so convincing from Xavier. Wildcard, they showed us a little bit, but they didn't show us enough. And when we got to that halftime section, we really did feel like it could go one of 2 ways. Either a Xavier sweep or an OT close game. It was the sweep indeed. 7-3. Much deserved from Xavier from start to finish, guys. The way they played in the matches themselves, in the rounds, they were unstoppable.
Yeah, props to Wildcard. I think they put up a decent effort, again, considering everything they're going through and the fact that Xavier are shaping up to probably be the or one of the strongest teams in APAC South. It was an okay effort. Unfortunate that it sort of unraveled in the way it did. Giving away 4 picks on a roamer like that is something that would never happen last year with Wildcard. It might have been the 1 pick and then immediately traded, but you could just see the disconnect in the attack. Again, disheartening for them, but I don't want to harp on that too much. Xavier, wow, they have come out of the block so strong this year. They are looking absolutely incredible. They've taken down what we would have thought a couple of weeks ago were the top 2 teams in APAC South, which is absolutely nutty, and they are setting themselves up really nicely. Again, keep in mind, if you finish first in stage 1, you automatically qualify for the major. You don't have to worry about playoffs.
Yep.
You'll be there. You'll be getting points towards SI. So this is huge.
Yeah, that top spot is something that these teams are obviously going to fight very, very hard for. And that's why, you look at the Giants result earlier this afternoon where they went to OT. They didn't get all 3 points, guys. So they're lagging a bit behind here, behind Xavier and Knights. But Xavier, they're looking like the team to beat. They, of course, will be the hunted, really, going forward, I think, for the remainder of the season. Regardless, though, that is going to be us done for the night. Thank you all so much. We are going to throw it, though, of course, over to our virtual desk to continue to break down this final round.
Thank you very much, Xenox and Guz. By the way, have a good night. We'll see you on the flip side. So, gentlemen, once it's all said and done, Wildcard just struggled to get across the line. Do you believe that what Guz is saying is true about the disconnect, Dev?
For Wildcard?
Yes.
Yeah, look, Wildcard definitely haven't quite got back on that horse yet. Pretty tough to watch, especially if you've seen Wildcard at their peak. 2020 was amazing for them, and they just look like a completely different team now. So yeah, very much disconnects. I had a bit of optimism at the first half. We were 3-2 at one point in favor of Xavier, and I thought, hey, if Wildcard make this 3-3, maybe it's possible. But no, it's just not happening.
No, and Xavier looked like they were having a lot of fun, Raven. Did that come off to you, or was it just something that I was seeing?
No, absolutely. Xavier did look like they were having a lot of fun, and I mean, all reason to. They seemed like they were in pretty much control of that match, as well as they're in pretty much control of the league at this stage. They toppled Giants last week. As Guz was saying, Wildcard coming into the league were perceived as the other potential top 2 team. And they've just taken them both out in the first 2 play days. So yeah, why not? I'm sure they feel comfortable. I'm sure they feel like they can just have a lot of fun, and it's a bit scary what they might be capable of.
It is honestly terrifying considering what we've seen from them so far. We have Onigiri ready for us for an interview. So let's say hello and welcome, my friend. What a performance. 7-4 or 7-3 victory it was. How are you feeling?
Yeah, we feel like we play very good today, and like our communication is perfect for our team.
I'm interested to hear, Onigiri, you guys made a roster change coming into this season. You've brought on Angry X and Red Sun sitting on the bench. How do you feel like this has affected you guys? Because you guys look even stronger than you were before.
Yeah, we feel like our lineup is pretty strong right now because Angry X can replace Layson position very good, and his like gunfight skill is he's a young blood, and that's the reason that his gunfight is very good and versatile.
Yeah, no, look, you guys are going from strength to strength. We were just talking, you've beaten Giants, you've beaten Wildcard. So you're sitting pretty at the top there. Who's your next big challenge to take on?
I guess it's gonna be Knights, I guess, from our opinions, because they look pretty strong against QC and the other teams.
And what do you think actually about QC now that we're in the APAC South Division? Of course, you've played them before. What are you feeling like in terms of competing against that?
We cannot underestimate them, to be honest, because they are our rival in the Thai League too. And we like in the Thai League we're not doing good against QC, but we will do our best to to fight them.
No, of course. Yeah, Dev, go for it.
I have a question. Now, if you guys come first place in APAC South, you guys get a spot straight to the major, and I believe that would be the first time we've ever seen a team from Thailand go to the major. Is that what you guys are hoping for?
Yes, we all hope for that major slot.
Well, I think everyone here is backing you to the hills, Onigiri, and you've played incredibly so. Do you have any final words for the friends, family, fans out there?
Okay, thanks for supporting us. We will try our best to keep our performance, and we won't let you down.
That's a perfect sentiment. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Sweet as pie and gracious in their own victory. What a performance from Xavier. I think this is some really scary times, Dev, for a lot of the other teams in this league.
For sure, Xavier's a scary team, but Onigiri is such a sweetie pie. Did he call you sir on the interview?
Did he?
I mean, that is so respectful. I love Onigiri. He is a demon in the server, and I never ever want to play against him. But he is just such a cute little sweetie pie on the interviews as well. So yeah, Xavier is scary for their gameplay, and you know, don't be deceived by their pretty faces.
No, don't be at all.
Yeah.
Before we move forward, let's have a look back at the results of today. We started what seems like only mere minutes ago. Elevate and 7th Heaven, a huge win on the board for Elevate. Obviously, Raven, 2 points versus 3 points. It will definitely affect the standings when we start to get a little bit later into the entire league.
Yeah, it will. You know, that's the beauty of this change with the overtime points is every single point usually matters. And towards the end of the season or end of the stage, we always saw a few teams neck and neck, but that's not going to be the case anymore. And that even more emphasizes that every point matters. So certainly Elevate, you know, they're not going to be too happy with only getting 2 out of 3 points. Likewise with the Giants, we already heard that in Gig's interview. But, you know, regardless, at least they are taking the the majority of the points and not actually losing their matches.
Dev, thoughts on this?
I think there's 2 teams that I'm really looking at right now. That is Xavier from Thailand and the Knights from Australia. Those are the only 2 teams who have gone flawless so far in that they haven't dropped a single point, both on 6. And when we finally get to see those 2 teams clash, I think that's really where we see which team is going to come first place in the league.
No, fair assumption. Let's have a look at predictions. Let's have a look at the fun little game we love to play. Who's currently sitting out on top? Oh, is that how do you say that last guy on the right? Jeez, he is
Maniac.
He is a shoo-in, I tell you what. But maybe you boys want to justify Dev Raven. I mean, I'm going to give this to Dev. What on earth, you boys you're on par with Xenox.
I guess I didn't have enough faith in the Knights today. And yeah, honestly, the worst part of it is just being on par with Xenox. I don't think I've ever been on par with Xenox in anything in my life, so I'm sad to have sunk to that level.
Oh, Raven, anything to back that up?
Oh, no, just the same as Dev. But no, look, to be honest, I think the same. You know, I felt like I almost feel really bad that I doubted the Knights. I just think, I don't know, maybe put too much into their OCN performances, and just regardless, I just think, again, over predicted how that match was going to go, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's still early season. You know, we're only 2 play days in. There's still many to go. So yeah, we'll catch up.
Look, I think
we'll leave Xenox in the dust.
Yeah, please. Look, to be perfectly honest, I think Knights still have a lot to prove, regardless of their performances in OCN. You know, they need to be bringing their A game to every match that they perform in. So it's definitely something I'll be asking questions about as we get later into the season. Let's have a look at the standings as we're talking about the season and the overall impact there. You're going to see for the first time the effect of the draw, or at least in the APAC South Division. We've got 7th Heaven. Look, I think you'd be pretty happy if you were them, would you not, Dev?
No doubt about it. This is the team that I think across our, we did some power rankings. We didn't post them anywhere, but, we all did them privately. And 7th Heaven was the bottom team for all 5 of us, I'm pretty sure. So pretty amazing that they're sitting at 3rd place. And honestly, with how they've been playing, I think that they can, if not retain 3rd place, definitely stay in the top 4 or 5. I think that you're probably going to see teams like Wildcard in the bottom end. So it's great for 7th Heaven after almost being relegated last season.
Yeah, and Raven, how much weight would you put to Giants and Order at the moment?
Oh, look, I think Giants will definitely climb their way back up. It's like I was saying before, I feel like they're starting to really awaken to where they need to be in APAC South. And we did hear from Gig in the interview, they did change some roles and they reworked a few things that they've been doing. And that just naturally takes some time to grind in. It is only stage 1. Again, we're only 2 play days in. I feel like there will be some changes. But regardless, I am excited about 7th Heaven. I think they've been playing some really good Siege.
Yep.
And likewise with Elevate, they're another team that I'm really excited to see how they stack up against some of these other Southeast Asian teams, for example. They've started to play some really good Siege as well.
Yep. Yeah, well, now that we're finished looking over our shoulder, let's look at what is to come for next Thursday night. The first matchup order and night, what seems to be a bit of an El Clasico. Elevate have a chance to back it up against the Giants. And of course, I would say, arguably, the big one is going to be Xavier QC. Dev, would you back me up in that?
I was thinking the same thing. At first, I was looking through from top down. I'm like, oh, Order Knights, that's definitely going to be the game of the day. Oh, but Giants Elevate, that's going to be good. Oh, Xavier Kuka. There's just so many matches of the day. We don't know how these teams are going to stack up against each other, and that is really exciting. Obviously, it's going to be a tie bash at the end of the day. Both Q-Confirm and Xavier have a fierce rivalry, which Onigiri referenced in the interview, so I think that's super exciting. And of course, games like Giants Elevate could have a massive shake-up on the standings. If Elevate can muster the courage and play, step up their game, play as good as they did today against 7th Heaven or better, I think they could really give Giants a run for their money, and Giants need the 3 points there.
Raven?
Totally echoing that. I feel like my eyes were initially drawn to Giants Elevate. Again, like I was saying before, I feel like Elevate is starting to climb into a good level with the Siege they're playing. And likewise with Giants, they're playing well, but they can certainly play better. So I feel like both teams are kind of on the rise at the same time. I think that's going to be a really exciting head-to-head. As well as, of course, the Thai Derby at the bottom there, a bit of a rivalry, as Dev referenced. I think Xavier QC will be a great way to close out next week's Playday.
It will be an absolute banger. So you will not want to miss it, ladies and gentlemen. For now, that's everything we have done and dusted. We're going to go pack it in for the week, but we'll be back next Thursday with all those matches. Take care.
So now you're here again, knocking at